Hey boo, hey! It's your girl Dia Direct. Who's saving our superwomen? That's today's topic. Who is saving our superwomen? Oh, you know her. She's the chick that has it all together and has her own everything. Her own house, car, business, money. Maybe she's even a mom, a wife, ride or die friend, and is the backbone of her family. Sound familiar? She's got it all together, right? Well, what if she doesn't? What if she's secretly overwhelmed and undercared for, but she's afraid or unwilling to ask for help? And if she does, those in her circle don't take her seriously because, well, she's the strong one. Maybe so. But she's also human, and sometimes she's allowed to break down. See, she's the one that secretly cries in the bathroom or on her pillow at night. She's the one that can't rest her mind because her to-do list is never ending, and it's giving her anxiety. This is an S.O.S, Saving Our Superwoman Lifeline. So for all my superwomen out there that looks good on the outside, but just between me and you, this podcast is for you. I'm sharing a sneak peek into the Saving Superwomen panel, sponsored by Altruist Home Health and Hospice, from my Super Self-Care Power Summit, moderated by Superwoman wife and mom Danielle Surrency Jones. She is the co-founder and president of Power Hands, an athletic training sports good provider. Joining Danielle on the panel are model, reality star, and radio personality Claudia Jordan. You may have last seen her on The Real Housewives of Atlanta. Also, therapist Alicia Johnson. Man, when I tell you she has a powerful story, just keep listening. And Dr. Lauren Freeman. She's the CEO of Dress for Success. And Leilani Wilson Jones, CEO of Mogul 24/7, the parent company of Altruist. And what do all of these women have in common? Oh, they're superwomen who realized sometimes you gotta take your cape off. Oh, take a listen and learn why.
I am going to introduce you to a fabulous moderator. So I want you to know she's a superwoman too. Danielle Surrency Jones, CEO of Power Hands, and that's spelled with a Z on the end. President of Power to Give Foundation and a business strategist. She's a wife, a mother of two, constantly on the go. She's a grinder, y'all. She believes in her family and friends, and she makes hard work look easy and beautiful. Give her a big hand as she starts to introduce our panel.
I want all of us to get naked real fast. What is more important is that we leave here understanding how to put our cape back on. Because when that kryptonite hits us, and we're down, and we have those moments where we're crying, snot's running down our nose, we can't figure out what to do next. We need to know how the amazing women have put their cape back on. And so saving Superwoman is what we're going to focus on. So let me quickly introduce this amazing panel. First, Claudia Jordan. And she's been in the limelight for many years, for modeling. She's been very transparent about relationships she's been in. And when she answers her question, and I want you guys to say, when I was broken, this is how I got to the point where I get up every single day. And when it happens again, I can use those life skills to transform me into this individual. So I'm going to start with you, Claudia. In the spirit of us walking in this room, having on all our filters, all of the amazing things that we post on social media that are great, that give snippets of what happens in our lives, tell me about a time that was the most difficult for you in your life. It took a hold of you, and you could not figure out how you were going to shake it. And you had to dig deep in order to get where you are today.
Okay, so because of what I do for a living, being in the entertainment business, I just want to make it very clear I'm no different than anybody else. I never saw myself better, worse, or actually I saw myself worse then. That's a lie. I'll talk about like how it started, but you all can relate to this probably because you're all Black women for the most part. and a couple. Hey. You're all women, but the only reason why I mentioned black is like, we have this thing on us where we feel like we have to be superwomen and it's like weak when we ask for help. And I had to learn the hard way to stop doing that. You know, like we take pride in being, I don't need anybody, I'm a strong black woman. That's not good. That's not helping us. That's not doing us a service. It's doing us a disservice. So all these years I was looking like I was winning TV shows, modeling, went to Miss USA, I hosted Miss Universe, I went to LA with $500 and flipped that into being able to buy over $1 million in property by myself. No one helped me out. And I was very proud of that. But then when things started to fall apart, I still had this name. I was always there for everybody else. I was a strong one for everybody else. How many people here can relate to being the strong one to everybody else? So who's strong for you? Nobody, right? And then that makes us afraid to be able to be vulnerable. So I had all the things on the outside. I had the house, the car, all that kind of stuff. But people didn't know. I had married someone on the low and found out he was a total con man. I was friends with Mickey Chu back then. And we were like going from being in Las Vegas, popping bottles with like the who's who in the industry, to me going home and worrying about having an eviction notice on my door. But no one ever knew it because I had to pretend. I had to front girls. I was fronting. I really was. I would go on a red carpet and smile, and it was a fake smile because I really was worried about not having a home. Because I married the wrong person, he ruined my reputation for many years, and I just became depressed. So if you could take anything away from this today, the day that changed everything, I was actually suicidal from everything. Broken relationship, horrible reputation, I had no money, but I still had to pretend. I felt like the world thought I was nothing. I would look in the mirror, you guys, and there's no way in hell you could tell me I was pretty. I looked in the mirror and I'm like, I'm ugly. No one's gonna hire me. I felt ugly inside. And my friends would check on me and I'd say, I'm good, lying like a I wasn't good. And for the first time in our 10 years of friendship, I let her hug me. A hug. Because I got it. Why do we take pride in doing that? And I just like collapsed in her arms, I was shaking, I was crying, I'm like, I need this. I need my friends, my sisters, I need you guys. We all need that. I felt like I had ulcers. I felt like I had someone's knee in my chest. I took medication because I was, like I said, I really did not want to be here anymore. But the world saw me as this model, like, beautiful, everything that they saw I didn't see. So it just took one day of like opening up myself, losing that thing that we are brought up with for some reason. We put on ourselves and letting that go. And ever since that moment, it has been like this. And all the things that have come into my life have been things I've not asked for. My money was horrible, I had nothing. I remember going from having $160,000 in my checking account to just mess around with to $80.
So the authentic power for you to translate all of this stuff that we wouldn't think someone like yourself has gone through, and you're helping all these women in here understand that it's a common place. I think that's when we get so caught up. We forget that our girlfriends too have had issues with our husbands, our boyfriends. We've had issues on our job. We've all been fired. We've all been laid off. We've all been, at some point maybe cheated on. It's a common place. So if we get out of that mindset of thinking that we're going through this alone, then we are saving our superwoman. Thank you, Claudia. Thank you. Tell me, Lauren, when you're leading women to claim their lives, what does that look like? How do you get them to reclaim their life when they're in their darkest place in order to save their soul?
Thank you, Mama. We all start somewhere. And there was a calling on my life 20 years ago, and I used to do it. I was in the corporate sector, kind of very safe place, I thought, to help and give. We was birthed as servant. As a servant, we have to have a servant too. So not only along my journey did I get married, divorced, I met my husband, who now I've been married to for 20 years. We call him Big Blue. And he has a lot of knowledge. As a superwoman, we still need that I don't want to do it, because I'm a fighter and I just don't want to do it, because no. He said, you want to do it. And he's like 6'6". If he can stand, everybody say hi to me, boom. If he's in the room, okay, he's over there hiding now. He's kind of like senior room. He's very seasoned and wise. And so every time I get confused, not only do I have a team of mentors, but I have my husband I can go to and he understands my journey, because the journey that has been sold on me, it's a 100-mile radius in Dallas for growth. We have some volunteers and some of our members here today because we believe in feeding our soul organically from inside out. And so anytime you come to Dress for Success or even affiliate yourself with me, I look at you as a CEO. That's how we are able to change lives without organization. Is everyone come in and embrace themselves as the best CEO of self. And everyone understand what CEO means. If not, Google it later, figure it out, and then adhere to it. I teach with a mirror. If you come to our organization, we have lots of mirrors. Where do we start embracing ourselves? Have we looked in the mirror and say, I love you? So our organization is built on love and empower women to get out of poverty.
Lauren, what do you do when you bring the CEO boss into the room and she looks into that mirror and she doesn't see herself as the CEO or the boss? How do you bring her to that state when she doesn't see herself that way? There's not enough designer clothes that you can put on. If she's not happy with herself, how do you get her to that point?
It's the 3 W's. What, why, and when.
Next, therapist Alicia Johnson shares a part of her dramatic story beginning with being molested as a child. It's a powerful story of survival and overcoming. Listen.
Molested me, and they brought the man to my house, and the police were patting him on the back, telling him how sorry they were that they disturbed him. And when he walked out of my house, it was never mentioned again. Then when I was gang raped when I was 13, I ran home and I told my mom, and she was in one of her depressed states, and she said, what did you do to make them do that? So I, very early in my life, decided that I was going to have to be the one that takes care of myself. I was going to have to be the one to fight for myself. And I was never going to tell anybody about my issues. Going forward, I got pregnant when I was 17, and right after I had my first daughter, I tried to commit suicide. Got on drugs. Got pregnant again, had an abortion. Got pregnant again, had another baby at 21. And then my relationship with God led me back to my places of pain. And just like my doctor says, unless you go back to those places of pain and are willing to be healed, willing to be to face them, you remain in that state. So I was growing up in my body, but I was an 8-year-old. And so I reacted to life as a child. So when God said get my GED at 36, I was scared to death. And I waited a whole year to do it. And then I got my GED, and my husband came home one day and he saw me in a fetal position in the dark. And he said, babe, you gotta go to get help. So he took me to this Christian psychologist who helped me to walk through my places of pain. And I was determined after that, I want to be like you. That's awesome. So when I was 52, the Lord said, go to college. I said, go to college? For what? He said, psychology. I said, are you kidding? He said, yes. I said, wait a minute. When I get out of college, I'm going to be 54. He said, do you plan on dying? I said, no. He said, then go to college. So I go to college. I graduate magna cum laude. Woo! I didn't even know how to say it. Then he told me to go back to college and to get my master's. I said, in what? He said addiction counseling. So I go back and I get my master's in addiction counseling. So here I am, 60 years old, and I feel like I've just begun to live. And if I can say anything to you ladies, no, I might not say it right. I might not act right. I might not have this or that or the other. I'm going to make it happen until the day I die.
Living your best life now. That is saving a superwoman. Thank you.
We'll be back with more Super Power Her with your host, Dia Direct.
Hey, we all want that upgrade, right? And we do. We upgrade our hair, our homes, even our cars. But sis, I want to know, what are you willing to do to upgrade your life and your heart? You've probably thought about it, but haven't done anything about finding a life coach. So today is the day. Learn more about finding a life coach to partner with you and to help you reach your happy place, that next level that you know you're supposed to be at. Go to diadirect.net. That's DEYA Direct. Click on the coaching tab and schedule your appointment today.
We're back where Superfly women testify. It's the Super Power Her podcast with your host, Dia Direct.
Dang, girl, that's messed up.
Who is she?
It's Dia Direct.
And now, it's time for our Dia Gets Direct segment. Today, our panel sponsor, Leilani Wilson-Jones of Mogul 24/7 and Altruist Home Healthcare, somehow continued to slay dragons even in the midst of her crazy, and I do mean crazy, divorce. Listen to her share more about her company and life as a CEO and multi-business owner. So we've been sitting down having lunch with Leilani Wilson-Jones. She is a mogul, and she's a mogul 24/7, by the way, yes. With multiple businesses, and is a CEO and executive director in the business of healthcare, in the business of daycare, in the business of beauty, and you are literally running businesses from the beginning of life to the end. And so this is really a unique position to be in. Please give me a sense in terms of your company.
Okay, thank you for having me. My parent company is Mogul 247, and what that looks like for me is the array of companies that I have under that umbrella, which include a healthcare arena, a childcare arena, and the beauty arena that you mentioned. So it's really quite phenomenal to watch the evolution of it, because as each industry expands, so does my brand, and I'm so excited to talk to you today about the different things that I do.
Where did you begin? Because you're in multi-industry, so tell me how it started.
Well, it definitely started for me in the healthcare arena. I had grown up in the industry of home health care, and I've continued in that arena with a little break. But what I do in home health care is actually send nurses, physical therapists, occupational therapists, and speech therapists, and sometimes aides to individuals' homes to help them recover and rehabilitate from whatever acute illnesses they may have. That business has expanded to include primary care, which is a non-skilled provider service that's typically a state-based program. Mm-hmm. And I've also expanded that brand to include hospice. And hospice is so interesting to me. It's new for me, but I'm really enjoying it and looking at how people deal with death and dying.
So most people would think dealing in healthcare, let alone hospice, it can be trying emotionally, spiritually. It's taxing. Like, how do you manage dealing with people's lives in such an intense way?
Well, I mean, you have to set the standard as far as dealing with their lives, but part of that is your staff. Your staff can make or break you, and I demand that my staff execute every time, and it's all about the patient from our organization. It's not about my staff. It's not about what we do in terms of we need to do XYZ to create this. It's what the patient needs, and we're very patient-centered.
Do you start these businesses from scratch, or are these failing businesses that you come in and help to rescue, so to speak?
The majority have been businesses from scratch. I have worked with a business that needed some shaping up. And, I've gone in trying to work with that and build it to a different level.
So for our listening audience, this is the year of the woman.
Yes.
So many women are having their own businesses, want to have their own businesses, want to quit their jobs, want to do their own thing. As a multi-owned and multi-skilled business owner, what are some of the primary challenges that you see women-owned businesses having, and what is it that you normally offer to really help people to have a solid business?
One of the things that I see quite often is the fact that you are a woman. People discount male chauvinism today, and they discount the fact that women still have to work harder than men in order to achieve the same goals. The other thing through Mogul 247 and the Mogul Academy that we're going to be offering is leadership skills. Everything that you need to do a business, you'll learn through the Mogul 247 Academy. But a lot of times women don't know, or people don't know, there are different levels to a business, and there are different components that you need to have, and they're all necessary at some level. It doesn't mean that you're going to spend hundreds of thousands in one area. You may have a very tiny budget and you may wear all of the hats, but the components are definitely necessary in order for you to execute successfully.
So you talked about an academy. Can you elaborate on what is it that you're going to be doing and when, and how do we find out about it and all this good stuff?
We haven't finalized the details. I'll definitely make sure that you're aware of when it is, but it'll be a leadership academy that will cover the basics of opening a business and the components that you need to succeed. So, of course, I'll be the main panelist, but we'll have other people and attorneys, CPAs, marketing professionals, public relations professionals, computer professionals. Everybody is going to kind of get their piece of the pie so that the women in the workshop can delve into the things they need and understand the principles behind those things and why you need those to succeed in today's workforce.
Well, when you talk about succeeding, at the end of the day, businesses need to scale, right? You need to make money.
Right.
And so a lot of times we have a good idea. We may even have passion. What are some key tips that you could just help somebody listening right now that might help us, some things or boxes we need to check off, or things we need to do to make sure that when you start a business, here are some ABCs that you need to do to make sure that your business is successful and that it's profitable?
Okay, one of the things that I undervalued for a number of years because it was so new and I'm a seasoned business person is the value of social media. Please don't underestimate that. Don't underestimate your Google ratings, and give 100% from day one. Don't make 100% of doing what you do a goal. Make that the mission from day one.
Can you tell me a story about a situation that maybe failed or where you made a huge mistake in business that you learned from and how you were able to recover from that?
Wow, I've made so many errors. And a lot of times it is trial and error, but I've learned so much over the years.
Yeah.
I can't think of one particular thing that stands out because so many things happen on a continuous basis. But I will say in dealing with regulatory issues, I'll say in the child care arena, one of the things that I underestimated was common sense. And it was the common sense that you would have a driver's license to drive a van, a daycare van with kids in it.
That's funny.
Yeah. Yeah, well, somehow I didn't realize. I probably didn't look at the ID and thought it said Department of Public Safety. And when the licensing rep came out to investigate some things, I discovered at the same time that the person who I thought had a driver's license and was driving the daycare vans did not. That was a huge lesson as far as screening everything minutely. You can't just take an ID. If the job requires a driver's license, they need a valid Texas driver's license, and you have to go beyond that, and check with the Department of Public Safety to make sure it's valid. So that's the one thing in a myriad of things that have happened, but that is one small negative.
Okay, so by you owning so many businesses and having to manage various brands, how do you know when it's time or when it's okay to make that transition from one brand to another? You know what I mean? Because you have to now constantly reposition yourself. And many of us are creative or have different ideas. But what do you say to women who want to have more than one brand? Like, in terms of timing, when it's ready, how do you do all that?
Well, you have to groom your leadership in those industries, and you have to be able to look at the macro picture. I'm not talented as far as being artistic, but I know how things should be put together. Mm-hmm. And where my strengths are in leadership and policy writing and looking at the regulations and compliance.
So right there, know your strengths.
Right. Know your strengths. And you have to hire people to complement you. Do not hire anyone that doesn't compliment you, and don't feel like anyone is a threat. If they bring something to your brand that you don't have, or they make your brand better, it works for everybody.
But is that scary? Because when you're trying to grow a business, oftentimes financially that could be a challenge.
Right.
What should the expectation be in terms of growth and profitability? And I know it varies by industry, but to get your mind around, okay, in order to grow, I might need to hire people in order to actually be profitable, etc.
Right. I don't think that you should look at profit the first year or two, or maybe even 3 years. I think you need to look at the plan to break even, mm-hmm. and make sure that you are able to succeed in the industry. You know, you may have a lag, and sometimes that's okay, as long as you're still able to cover the basis. But looking at it from, I'm going to be profitable from day one, I'm going to make all this money, that rarely happens. You have to be committed to the work, number one, and you have to look at ways to structure the components you need. So whether it's that you contract out this piece, if this piece is part-time, or if this piece is just a one-time agreement by the piecework, you need to do that in order to have the components that you need.
Because even if you have your own business, it doesn't mean that you understand how to run a business.
Absolutely not.
It doesn't mean that you know how to manage a business. Right. So talk to me about your strengths and what you found that you had to farm out in order to grow.
What I had to farm out, I happen to be good at those parts and good at regulations. What I had to farm out was creativity, leadership in terms of compassion, because I'm not a compassionate leader, and I recognize that. So I had to farm out people.
Wait. Just stay there for a second.
Okay.
How did you figure out you weren't a compassionate leader? What is that? What does a compassionate leader mean? And then how did you figure out that you weren't a compassionate leader?
Well, a compassionate leader looks for the value and excuses that employees give and finds ways to work around that. And I've never been good at that. And so I cut to the chase more often, and I don't tolerate the excuses that a lot of people would tolerate. And I don't have the compassion for this is going on in my life or that's going on, because we all have issues going on. Being a person that doesn't get to sleep a lot or doesn't get to rest, and every day is a work day, whether or not I want it to be, it's just my tolerance is little to none and frequently zero. I have so many zero tolerance policies, and I have a revolving door speech that everyone knows. I had to seek out leaders that could buffer me in between those people so I didn't lose the good people.
How long have you been in business?
I've been in business since I was 21 years old.
Wow. So what's your secret sauce?
The secret sauce is consistency and persistence.
That sounds like relationships.
I'm not good at those, but that is the secret sauce in business.
So consistency in what?
As far as business is concerned?
Yeah, because a lot of people have great ideas, but they don't necessarily see it through.
Well, the execution, sometimes you have to employ other people or other tactics to make your project develop and to do the final connection. Sometimes your great idea, it might be great, but you're missing some pieces to execute on that. And so it would be a matter of bringing in the talent that's necessary for that, or finding the links and closing the gaps. Mm-hmm. And it might even be retweaking your idea. And you have to be open to change. Change is continual.
Okay, can you give me an example of something that you had to be open to and that worked out for the better, that was hard to do?
I'm a person that's open to change, so I'm always willing to try something.
Okay.
But I think one of the biggest things that was difficult for me was the leadership under me in home care, not necessarily in daycare, because I had grown and they worked with me and they knew the expectation. But in home care, it was different. My leadership is not, I wasn't sure that they were ready to manage at the level that I need managed in the execution.
But you needed them to be.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. So it was letting go, kind of, and stepping back, gradual steps back.
Mama had to let go and let the baby, let the bird fly.
Right. Exactly.
How did that go?
Oh, we're still working it out. We're still working it out. So.
Okay, so in closing, we know that being compassionate may not be your strength.
Right.
But what are you passionate about?
I'm passionate about healthcare. I'm passionate about children. I'm an advocate, definitely for children. I'm passionate about hunger. Mm-hmm. I'm passionate about beauty, especially black beauty. Those are the things that I'm passionate about, I would
Because
say.
you're also a part of a beauty and wellness company.
Right, I am. I'm part of the Canvas Skincare line through Coffee Day Spa, and I'm passionate about aging gracefully.
Hello, you're gonna do it. You might as well be cute about it, right?
Yes, definitely.
Listen. I understand.
Yes.
So, with all this stuff going on, what's next for you?
Oh, there's so many things on the horizon. Well, I talked a little bit about the Mogul 247 Academy. The healthcare brand from a home basis needs to expand to include pediatrics, and I am looking to get into a couple more daycares. So those are some things that, we're looking at as a brand and how to expand without having too much problems. And I've got something huge coming up, but I don't want to make an announcement until later. But please follow my brands or follow Mogul 247 so that you can find out about Daddy-Daughter Weekend in June of 2020 at Disney World.
Yeah. Okay, so tell us how we follow you again.
You follow me at L Jones on Instagram. You can also follow me, Lalani J, on Instagram. Mogul 247 is my brand, so you can follow me at Mogul 247 on Instagram, and I'm Lalani Wilson Jones on Facebook.
What's your website? Because I know people might want to hit you up for a job or know more about your brand.
Right. Go to mogul247.com and you can find out everything you want to know about any brand that's under me.
And the last question is this. If somebody wanted to work for Lalani Wilson Jones, what are the traits you're looking for in a good employee?
If you're working for me personally or if you're working in my company, one of the biggest things would be a dedication and commitment and passion to whatever it is that you're doing. I don't need the half slackers, so I want you to
So if you slacking and you're just looking for a gig, don't come her way.
Right.
Because you already heard her say that being compassionate is not her skill set.
Yes.
I'm going to get you my book, Soft is a New Power. You might need that in your life.
Right. Exactly.
But you got to make sure that you check out what she's doing and stay tuned. And so, you know what? Success also means some challenges along the way.
Yes.
So that's a part of the
struggles.
process.
Yeah.
To the person who's like right now in their business, they know it's what they're supposed to be doing, but they're not sure if they should continue in their business or go get a job, you would say what?
I would say stay with it, and if you need a job, get a night job or a part-time job to supplement your income. But definitely stay with your passion and work it out.
Great advice. We'll take it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And when we return, you'll hear what Lalani had to deal with in her personal life while still wearing her Superwoman cape at work right after this.
So her company sponsored this panel, which is a prelude to who she is. Her company, Mogul 24/7, is the sponsor of this panel, and she is a woman after my own heart, multi-business owner who runs over 12 businesses in healthcare, beauty, and wellness. And she did all of this while going through a divorce and being a single mom. So again, speak to their souls on how you did all of this going through a divorce, because some people lose their identity. They think that their identity is connected to that last name. And so how did you do that while being a single mom and now being a businesswoman mogul?
It was a long, painless process, my divorce, that didn't have to be. I was married to someone who basically ended up being a gold digger. I've worked all my life, I provided And when I got married, it wasn't to be a sugar mama, which ended up at the end of the relationship, the 9-year marriage, he just made all of these outrageous demands on me, and I couldn't do it anymore. It was the end of the road for me in my marriage. And I thought it was going to be an easy process, and it wasn't. Someone on the panel said you just have to keep going. And that was all I could do because I couldn't believe the things that were coming at me through my attorneys. He hired expensive lawyers that he couldn't afford on his own, and he would have them make outrageous requests. And I paid him, mind you, I didn't have any kids by him, but I paid him during the phase of the divorce we were going through for final settlement. So it's very hard. It wasn't easy at all. But I had my businesses. I had my home care, my daycares. They're all regulatory businesses, so you have to ensure that everything is running smooth and that you're in compliance. So I went through multiple audits and just regular business issues. But the divorce really did end up taking a toll because it was draining to experience all of that. A lot of that was humiliating as a woman, to have to go through it, and you find out at the end of the day that the person you were married to really wasn't there for the same reasons that you were there.
Awesome, thank you. I'm going to ask each of you, as we conclude this panel, to please tell these women in the room, we all walked into this room, we had our cape on, we had our filters on, we got naked, and thank you to each of you for getting naked. Telling your story is not an easy thing to do, not at all. But what I love is authentic power. You're able to tell your story and not care what anybody in this room thinks. You're able to walk your walk and talk your talk because, again, you know what your ultimate reward is. And once we all get to that place, we do. So let's wrap up and impart just a few short words with the ladies. I started off by saying we wanted to keep this naked. I don't want to hear the fluff. On your hardest days, I had a very hard day on Thursday. I had a meltdown on Thursday from the demands of everything that I have going on in my life. And I called one of my other superwomen who's in this room, and she helped me find my strength. What do you say to these women and advice that you give to help them find their strength on the hardest days of their life? Lauren?
I would say, look in the mirror, because I train with the mirror, being a behavior coach. I would highly recommend to hug yourself, love yourself, forgive yourself, and know it's not about you. And if you're so caught up on self, you cannot be listening or paying attention to what God asks us to do. It's to serve. And if it's just simple as saying, good morning, I love you, and walk into your office and say, good morning, that may just lift that next person. The next person may give that next person a good morning love. And at the end of the day, what it is that we all want is love. We want to feel love, and we want to feel respected and bring value. And so when you put yourself in a position of love, value, and knowing what it is God asks you to do, how to share the platform, just like we did today, just know you are the CEO of you, and you are the new boss. Now that you know I am a boss, but the new boss adhere to the CEO instructions of self-discipline, self-construction, and self-love.
Sitting up here and listening to everybody's stories, I'm nodding my head because I'm like, we have a lot in common. Like, with every single person on the panel, the darkest things they said, I'm like, yup, that happened to me too. Yup, that happened to me too. I feel you. So we have a lot in common. We have a lot in common. And I would just say, to leave you guys with this, it is okay to not be perfect. It is okay to not be perfect. There's actually beauty in that. And what I did get through all of this is like being able to speak on this stuff and not keep it inside, and like have these powwows with your friends, with strangers, with panels. Have a girls' day where you just hang out and just talk about things that happen to you, to each other, to yourselves. and like let it all out. Because carrying around that weight on top of taking care of everybody, your man, your kids, your friends, your coworkers, whatever, picking up slack, that is taxing and exhausting. And the doctor mentioned earlier how, because we're nurturers, we take care of everybody else and not ourselves. So there's nothing wrong with having a breakdown. There's nothing wrong with saying, I need help. There's nothing wrong with getting some meds for a couple of weeks and getting you through that process. Some of them are really good at it. Whatever it is that you need to do.
Dr. Jessica Shepherd, where are you?
I'll just say, prescription, of course. Or we. I'm very honest, painfully honest. But you know what? I carry no weight on me anymore. Being like this. People say, girl, you just say any old thing, okay? Because I say some offensive stuff. And if you rock with me, I know you really like me. And you still like her, exactly. So let it all out, ladies. We don't have to be Superwoman. Superwoman is fake. Superwoman is just a character in a movie that I hope to book one day. But anyway, it's okay. And the right people will find those things about you that you think, oh, embarrassed about this. Like they'll think it's funny and charming and cute, and then they'll actually draw people to you that are like-minded, and you'll feel better because you're like, I'm not alone like this thinking. So I always encourage you to be authentic. And one last thing. Blogs and gossip and all this kind of stuff, can we stop being so hard on each other? The ones that are the hardest on women, especially black women, are our blogs.
That's right.
And those people that we're talking about are real people. And it's not just like with celebrities, with people at work. We can just just try to do better with resisting the urge to talk about people like that. Because you don't know what people are going through.
That's right.
Someone could be ready to take themselves out, and your last little thing is the one that makes them be like, all right, no one cares. All right, so just positive stuff.
Thank you, Claudia.
Or I probably always was a perfectionist, and that's probably, if you're a superwoman, that's part of your DNA. You're a perfectionist. You want to see everything right. So just letting myself off the hook. And the way I do that is prayer. I realize that it's in Him that I live and I move and I have my very being. So whatever I am doing, I know I can't do it without Him. So I take everything to Him, and He gives me everything I need to get what I do done. And I love people. You cannot be selfish and live your best life. I remember waking up one morning and I was somewhat depressed and I didn't really want to get out of bed. And a friend called me and she said, Alicia, will you pray for me? And when I prayed for her, it did something in me. It made me feel better about myself. So what I did is I put on Facebook, I will pray for you. What is it you want me to pray about? Well, people started just inboxing me and just putting it out there on Facebook. And I spent 8 hours in my bed praying for people. Not going, I'm going to pray for you, but praying. They would ask me for specific things, and I would just pray. And I spent 8 hours doing that. And I'm telling you, that knocked that depression out. Whenever you can do something for somebody else, it will take you to a higher level.
That's good. Go ahead.
Mine is very simple. I do reflect and I do pray and meditate at the end of a very hard day. But the biggest thing is keeping it simple and remembering why you started. So you're going to have to go through some things to get wherever you're going. And as a part of that journey, there are going to be obstacles. There are going to be mountains. There are going to be molehills, all of that. And you just have to remember why you started and what your purpose is. And you don't let anyone take it from that.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you. And I want to leave you guys with this, and I want you to repeat after me. And this is when I had my meltdown on Thursday, the dialogue that went back and forth with my accountability partner. I am born for this. Yes. Anything that comes our way, we can handle it. It is part of our story. So let it color your life and be the beautiful picture that you are, inspire others, be selfless with it, be authentic with it, hug yourself, and keep it simple. Love you guys.
Wow. Super powerful panel, right? To hear and learn more about the next Super Self-Care Power Summit, sign up for our newsletter at deyadirect.net or email me directly at info@deyadirect.net. This has been another Super Power Podcast, where women and men of power and with powerful stories testify and provide tools that you can use.